Good morning and welcome to your Financial Empower Hour. This is Jason Cryderman with Great Lakes Investment Advisors. To all my listeners, all my viewers, all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Tony Shore, happy Father's Day to you. As we record this show, it's actually the Monday right after Father's Day. So people
Yeah.
are probably thinking, wait a minute, Jason just said happy Father's Day. That was last weekend. But again, when we record these shows on a Monday, they don't air till the following Sunday. So yesterday was Father's Day as of the time of this recording. So
Sure.
Tony, again, happy Father's Day to you, all my
Yeah.
listeners, all my viewers. Happy Father's Day. Tony, what did you guys do over there at your place to celebrate you and celebrate Father's Day for such an awesome man, Tony Shore?
Well, I have 3 kids, as you know, and so
Yes.
we did celebrate Father's Day, as did you. But first and foremost, let's back up here a minute. I think Father's Day should be Father's Month, first of all.
You know, I agree. I agree with that.
So
At
even
least-
though it was
at
a
least
week ago for our listeners,
even mothers, right? Mother's Day, Father's
Yes.
Day. We really should get a week or a month. It should be a heck of a
Yeah.
lot longer. You think about
we're
some of the
stretching
things.
this out another week.
Yeah,
That's-
well, and that's all reality. Think about some of the things that we do celebrate on a monthly basis. We have so
Sure.
many different things that are. This is the month. Well, why do moms and dads only have one day? I agree with you, Mr. Tony Shore.
Yeah.
Moms and dads should be celebrated for a heck of a lot more than just one day.
Exactly. So I would agree. And we had a great Father's Day. Hope all our fathers out there, as you mentioned, had a good Father's Day this last weekend. Now, I had a great time. Got together with my son's in-laws. My son is married, and his wife's parents. And then all our kids and their significant others got together, grilled. And I want to say, Ross, my son's father-in-law, he can grill a mean steak. I'll tell you
Really?
that. Oh man, Jason, I don't know when the last time I had a steak so tender.
Really?
We didn't need steak knives, and when he cooks a steak, you don't use any steak. You don't need steak sauce.
Well,
You don't need extra
it's a good
seasoning.
steak, right? So if you ever go to a restaurant, they say they're a steak restaurant. If the server even asks you, do you need A1 or Heinz 57? You're probably not in a good steak restaurant.
Right. You have to cover it up with that.
Yeah.
If you need that to make a steak taste good, it's not a good steak. So at any rate, as much as though I will admit I do like Heinz 57 and A1,
I do
but
too.
it's true. If you can eat a steak and it tastes great without it, you know you've got a good steak. But yeah, we had great food, great times, and the kids, all my kids are college or older, all 3 of them. So it's great when we can all get together, all of us. And that meant a lot to me. That was my Father's Day gift, and it was so great. Played ladder ball, played bags, watched the dogs swim in the pool. Just a lot of fun. Lots of fun.
Well, like you said, I mean, it's tough logistically. I look at your 3 kids being in college and my 3 still being, well, Lexi just graduated and she'll be going off to college in the fall. But logistically, Tony, you and I have had the discussions where it's a lot harder for you to get the 3 kids and their significant others and everything back together. Because as the older they get and then they get out of the nest and they move on to do their own thing. So that's awesome and wonderful that you were able to get all 3 of the kids and all of them back home to celebrate your day. That's so cool, man. I'm glad they were able to make that happen for you.
Yeah, they did make it happen. I did nothing. I just showed up, And they,
that's it. They say, Father's Day, we're not supposed to do all the work. And so,
right. Exactly. Exactly. So my job was to tell some bad dad jokes, make sure my kids groaned a lot.
I'm sure you did great at that.
I did. Now I said, Jason, you've heard of Murphy's Law, and that is if something can go wrong, it will. Right.
Certainly.
But have you heard of Cole's Law?
Cole's Law?
Yeah. It's finely chopped cabbage. Cole's Law. So bad. I know. It's a groaner. Think about it for a while. It's a groaner.
I don't need to.
You don't need to. Oh, no. Oh, of course. Right? The sad
There we go.
trombone.
There
The
we go.
sad trombone for all the dad
Mhm.
jokes out there that were told on Father's Day.
I'm sure.
Well, Jason, what about you? What did you do this Father's Day?
Yeah, we had a busy week last week. I actually had some of the reps in from Gradient Investments. We had a photo shoot here in the studio.
That's
We had
right.
a video shoot around town. We had an awesome client event. We had about 180 some clients of ours that went to the Great Lakes Loons baseball game here in
I
town
heard
last
about that.
Thursday night. What an amazing event. The weather was gorgeous. Just all of our investors, all of our families to come together like that. And it was just really a really cool, wonderful event. And then this weekend, Carson had a baseball tournament up in Gladwin. It's his local Little League All-Star team. And I was telling you before the show that obviously all my listeners and viewers, Carson is very athletic. He's into basketball, baseball, football. He is a winner by heart. I mean, he just wears his heart on his sleeve, and he understands. He's been humbled quite a few times to know that the best player, the best team doesn't always win. And so we've had those talks. But this weekend, his entire Little League team, the All-Star team, they played their hearts out. Every single one of them just played absolutely amazing. And we won 2 games on Saturday that allowed us to be seeded or bracket play into Sunday. And then Sunday is win or go home, right? So we won our first game in the morning. We played one right after that. We won that one. And then we had to sit around for about an hour and a half to wait to see who the winner of the other semifinal game was. We ended up facing them in the championship game. It was awesome. Our boys prevailed. We actually was tied at the end of the game. So we had to go into what they call international tiebreaker rules for Little League. It's what you do.
Explain that.
You start with one guy on second base and one out. So you start with one on and one out, and so they got. We were home team, so they got up, and we were able to shut them down. They weren't able to score, and then so we got up. They shut us down. We weren't able to score, so they came up again. Guy on second, one out. We shut them down. We got up again. Guy on second, one out, and we had one. What did we do? I think we had one hit. There was a ground out, but it allowed our guy on second to get the third. And just 3 or 4 pitches later, their catcher was awesome. Nothing got by this little guy. 3 or 4 pitches later, sure enough, a wild pitch gets by him. Our guy on third comes home and scores, and we were able to win the championship. So
wow,
pretty cool. So I was at the Ball Diamonds from 8:30 on Sunday until about 4:30 in the evening. So my entire Father's Day was spent at the ball fields. Amy was there with me. Josie was there with us. Lexi was with a friend that she stayed the night at her place the night before for her graduation party. But so there I was with Carson, watching him win 3 baseball games, watching him win a championship with my family. It was a very amazing, blessed Father's Day, Tony. It was
wow.
I don't know if I really would have wanted it any other way. It was absolutely wonderful.
Oh, what could be better than watching your son win a baseball championship on Father's Day and hanging out with all the other folks there, parents, and seeing the kids play? That's awesome. And wow, what an exciting ending.
Yeah, it was. It really was. And then it didn't stop there, Tony. So as you know, Lexi is going off to Michigan State this fall. And we got an email this morning. She's working for us here at the office this summer until she goes off to school. And we got an email here this morning that she made the MSU cheer team. So Lexi is going to be a Michigan State cheerleader, which is just takes that Father's Day gift and explodes my heart and makes it even better. Just to think about her going off to Michigan State in the fall is awesome enough. But now that she made the cheerleading team, she's got a really bright future ahead of her academically and physically. And it's just so cool to watch my kids grow and experience that. So
that's
amazing,
neat.
amazing week, amazing weekend. And here we are Monday morning after Father's Day. And it's just, I still can't stop smiling. It's been a very, great Father's Day for me and my family.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And you've got great kids. Love them. I know you've had them on the show before. We got to get them on the show again. Yeah, we got to get it.
It's been a while since I know all the kids have been at one point in time. Lexi, Josie, and Carson.
Yep.
Obviously, Carson's been on the show quite a bit.
Yeah.
You and him kind of you guys like heckling and razzing.
and you.
And me. I know you guys always throw me in. So you like to throw me in the mix where Carson throws me under the bus. So
Yeah, that's true. I'm
not sure after the last couple shows he was on, Tony, if you remember the comments he made about me,
yeah,
the
I don't
reason he
know.
hasn't been invited back. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
told him he can behave. If he can behave, I'll let him back on the show. So he's been working really hard at that.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's my fault. I enabled him. He's like, "Oh, wait, it's okay to make fun of dad?
Well,
Oh,
you're
this
the
is fun."
enabler, you're the
Yeah.
instigator, you're
Oh, yeah.
the whole pour fuel on the fire kind of thing.
That's
And once he saw that door and opportunity was open, he
uh-huh.
jumped right in.
Yep. He did. He
Mhm.
did. He's great. Well, yeah, we had a great Father's Day, and now we're trying to keep that vibe and that energy going. We haven't stopped smiling. It's good. It's good to be a dad, and I think it's great. We have Mother's Day, Father's Day. Should be more than just one day, though.
It really
It's at
should.
least the whole weekend, and we're celebrating it here 2 weeks in a row. So that's good.
Yep.
We'll probably take a quick break, but before we do, Jason, we've got a great topic today: how to make your money last longer than you do. We hear people say, I want to bounce my last check. I want my last check to bounce. Have you
Yep.
heard that?
Oh, I've heard that quite a bit. Yeah, matter
I
of fact,
bet you have as a
one of my
financial.
grandfather's sayings was his last check was gonna bounce when they threw down that first shovel of dirt down the hole. And obviously we laugh and joke about that, and
Yeah.
in all reality, that probably isn't gonna happen. Most people think, "Hey,
No.
I'm gonna spend all my money while I'm here in this earth," and that's great. And you can do that, but most people, there's going to be something or
Yeah.
things that go to your loved ones. So we're gonna talk a lot about that today, and
Yeah.
really just kind of simple financial basics.
Yeah, I think that's a great topic. We'll be right back with that. But before we do that and start talking about that, Jason, I know we've given away a lot of your books lately. Should we keep doing that? And we're also offering some no charge, no obligation consultations. People can come into the office, meet with you and the team there at Great Lakes, ask any questions about financial topics, investing, retirement planning, retirement income planning, Social Security, Medicare, the works. You guys cover it, take care of it. So you can call in, set that up, or be one of the first 10 people to contact the office, and you'll get a free book. It's called Empower Your Retirement. Sorry, Own Your Retirement. You need to do that too, but empower it. In order to own that retirement, you need to empower it first. And that's the name of the book. You and your dad wrote this book, right?
That's right. Yep, we sure did.
Yeah. And it's a great book. I've read it. We have some copies here in our office, and I love it. But we're giving away 10 copies right now. So listeners and viewers, just pick up the phone and call 989-835-7203. That's 989-835-7203, or go to GreatLakesInvestmentAdvisors.com. And we'll be right back. And you're listening to your Financial Empower Hour. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore. I'm here with our host, the man with the plan, once again, Jason Cryderman. Jason, we're still smiling. We're still happy from Father's Day last week. And we're excited to talk about probably one of the most important things. You need to know what you have to do to ensure your money lasts longer than you do in retirement. And I would say number one on that list is work with a professional, a financial professional, and get a written plan in place, right? Wouldn't that be where you start?
Yeah, I mean, so let's kind of talk about really the concept again is to make sure our money lasts. Number one, as long as we do. So as long as we're on this earth, we need
Yeah.
money, right? We need money for income and spending and lifestyle and the bills and all that good stuff.
Sure.
But really, at the end of the day, most of the families, Tony, that I've met over the last 20 some years have not only wanted to make sure their money lasted as long as they do, but make sure there was something left. Something to pass on to the spouse, to the kids, to the grandkids, the nieces, nephews, whoever it might be. And so in order to you can plan that and just say, well, that's what I want to happen. But if you just say that's what you want to happen, what's the likelihood it's going to happen with the highest probability of success? Well, probably not very high. But if you know,
no one knows the day or time, right?
Nobody knows the day or plan. And that's why the tagline of my book is called Plan for the Best, but prepare for the worst.
Right.
So think about that in every aspect of your life, whether you're planning a remodel at your house, whether you're planning a vacation, you're planning to host an event at that, whatever it might be, planning your retirement income, planning your management strategy, planning to leave funds to a church or a charity or family members. Well, plan for the best, that we're going to maximize this opportunity. It's going to go exactly how we plan, but also be prepared for the worst, because we know we don't live in a perfect world and things don't always go as planned. So I think, Tony, to start off, the number one thing you need to do, everything in life, not even just financially, but to have the most probability of success of anything really big and that means a lot to you, like financial planning, like making sure you have enough income to last the rest of your life, and even making sure that when you're gone, whatever's left, whatever it might be, passes to exactly who you want it to, when and how. Really, the only way to do that is have a written plan.
Yeah.
Have a written plan. You can't just have these thoughts in your mind and, well, I have a plan. Well, where is it on paper? Oh, well, I just haven't, no, you need to have a written plan. And Tony, you mentioned work with a financial professional. That takes it to the next level. It really, really does. So first thing is you got to have a plan. You have to have a plan that says, here's what my goals are. Here's what my dreams are. In the best of times, if things go this way, here's how I want things to happen. And if things don't go this way, the unfortunate times, here's what I want to be done, and here's how I want things to happen. Here's who I work with. Here's all my stuff. You got to have all these variables in the equation lined up and have a plan put together of how you're going to deal with this, or people after you are going to help deal with this when you're either maybe sick or ultimately gone.
Yeah.
So have a plan is number one, Tony. You hit the nail right on the head. Review your plan, update your plan. Life changes, right? I mean, we get thrown curves. Speaking of baseball games, Carson's baseball games, right? These little kids are 11 and 12 years old, and they're throwing change-ups and curveballs and sliders. It's crazy, some of the things we're seeing from some of these kids. And so we tell the batters when they go up there, every pitch isn't going to be a nice little meatball right down the middle. You might see some fast ones, some slow ones, some curveballs. So, plan for the best. That pitcher is going to throw you a beautiful meatball right down the middle. But plan for the worst, that maybe the ump is actually calling strikes a little high or a little low outside. So you got to have a plan. If that's the way the game's going to go, are you just going to stand there and let it happen? Or are you going to take charge and take power and be in more control of your destiny? And so I really, truly think, again, having a written plan truly puts you in power and control of your destiny.
Yeah.
Review and update that plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because things change.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? You mentioned having a plan, and having a plan doesn't mean you have money in the stock market or you have a 401k. That's not a plan.
It's
right. Good. It's good you're saving for retirement, whether it's a TSP, a 401k, an IRA, a Roth. You just directly invest in stocks. That's great. You need to be doing those things. However, that's not a full retirement plan. Do you know how to maximize your Social Security? Do you know when exactly the best time for your situation is to file, right?
Absolutely.
That's probably the next step and one of the first things in the plan to secure your base income that will be there. You have to look at Social Security, and a lot of people leave money on the table there too, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of your plan should be what you mentioned. Like if you have 401ks, as you mentioned, Tony, or IRAs or Roths or those are investments. That's not a plan. Those are variables within your plan. So those are the investments that your plan is to save for the future, maximize your contributions as you can. Your plan should also be to manage that money appropriately for the phase of life you're in. So in your 20s, 30s, you could be a lot more aggressive, long-term growth. When you hit your 40s, 50s, maybe you go a little more moderate, a little shorter term growth. Once you hit retirement, your plan with those variables, those investments should be a little more preservation minded. And as you mentioned, Tony, at some point in time, you need to turn on income streams, because once you retire, you no longer get that paycheck every other Tuesday, right? You never longer get the paycheck every other Friday. Income is primarily done. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a pension still, that's great. Again, you need to plan for what option do you choose with your pension. Do you take 100% pension with no spousal benefit after you're gone? Or do you take a reduced amount to provide a spousal benefit? Those are things you need to plan for. And as you mentioned, Tony, Social Security is a big one. That's a real big planning aspect, because everybody that has working credits, working hours to the higher level, You have an opportunity to pull Social Security as early as age 62. Well, should that be your plan? Or should you wait till full retirement age? Or should you even wait till 70? Because your Social Security does continue to grow every single year the longer you put it off and wait to take it. And your plan, I think you mentioned, Tony, as well, your plan should be designed for you, right? You should take Social Security or your pension option or how you invest your money, whatever it is. All these variables or aspects of your plan should truly be designed and geared for what's in your best interest, not what your neighbor did, not what your friend at church did or your fishing buddy or golf. No, it should be 100% what's in you and your family's best interest. And again, I will tell you, in doing this for 20 some years now, for literally thousands of families, plans change, life changes, plans change. So what was in the best interest maybe last year or even last month, that might not be anymore. So it's a very good idea to review and update your goals and your where you are in life, as well as your plan. And again, Tony, you mentioned it. I think to have the highest probability of success, you need to work with a financial professional, preferably a fiduciary like myself, that by law is held to look up to the best of your interest, period. So you have the goals and objectives. You have the variables within the plan. You can tell the financial professional what your thoughts and goals and dreams and ideas of this plan should be. To have the best plan, the plan that has the highest probability of success. You have it professionally drafted and professionally reviewed and professionally monitored. I promise you that will give you the highest probability of success, whatever those goals or dreams, whatever those aspirations in that plan are.
That makes sense, and that's great. People need to know this, Jason, and we're going to take another quick moment here to let our listeners know that you're offering, instead of giving away the book, we're going to talk about that complimentary consultation and the Social Security maximization report.
Yes.
Because a big part of making sure you have that regular income for as long as you live, the foundation, whether you think, oh, Social Security isn't going to be that much. I've got this money in my 401k. I've got IRAs. I've got stocks. The foundation starts with Social Security, and you don't want to leave money on the table. You want to get what's yours. So how do you maximize your Social Security? You have a report that runs over 20,000 calculations, and you input personal information like their Social Security amount, their different types of information into that.
Right. Yep.
And it tells you exactly your spouse's situation. It gives you spousal strategies. I wouldn't file for Social Security without working with someone like yourself or having that report run. So if our listeners want to get the Social Security maximization report run, if they want to set up that consultation to get a plan in place, all they have to do is pick up the phone and give you and the team at Great Lakes Investment Advisors a call, and that is 989-835-7203. Just give Jason a call. Jason, you love to hear from our listeners, even if you just have a question.
Absolutely.
That's 989-835-7203. Welcome back to your Financial Empower Hour. I am your co-host, Tony Shore. I am here with Jason Cryderman. Jason, great show today. We're having a good one. Everything's going great, and we're talking about getting a plan in place, making your money last longer than you do. And we've talked a bit about the first steps, working with a financial advisor who's a fiduciary, who's going to look out for your best interest, getting that written plan in place. And we talked about how that incorporates Social Security maximization. What else does it incorporate? What else do you need to do? Basically your risk tolerance and how much risk you take plays a big role in making your money last, right?
Yeah, it really does. And before I get into that kind of risk evaluation, and you're right, because the amount of money you can wake up in the morning and be okay losing is really the way you have to look at it. Nobody wants to lose money, right? I've asked for 20 some years, I've asked people, so how much, if you woke up tomorrow and the stock market was down 50%, how much are you okay losing? And 99% of the time, every answer has been none. Yet we look at how their portfolio is invested, and it's moderate or aggressive or whatever, and there's some level of risk there. And so the reality is we say we don't want a risk in our portfolio, but we know we invest money unless we just put it in the bank, which still takes on some interest rate risk and institution risk. But no matter where we invest our money, there's going to be some level of risk associated with that. So, but before we dive right into that, because I think that's very huge to talk about, Tony, let me back up and just touch on that Social Security maximization report. You mentioned at the end of the last segment that any of the listeners or viewers that would like this Social Security maximization report ran for them, please give us a call here at the office. There's no charge to have this report ran. It is an extremely valuable tool. You want to do this before you take Social Security or within the first 12 months, because you do have potentially an option in the first 12 months of taking Social Security. If you realize you get this Social Security maximization report ran and you realize, wow, there was actually a better, more efficient way for me to maximize my income off Social Security than the one I chose. If you're within the first 12 months of taking income from Social Security, you could possibly stop the first choice and redo it over again, start from scratch. Now, there are some things there you have to pay back to Social Security, but they allow you one chance, is what they call a redo or do-over, but they only allow it within the first 12 months. Once you went 12 months worth of paychecks, there's no changing it, no going back. So please, if you haven't made your decision yet on Social Security and you're getting close, or if you just made it within the last 12 months, please give my office a call. Let us run this free report. Doesn't cost you a dime. It will show you the top 1, 2, and 3 ways that you could maximize your income based on all the variables and inputs that we personalize for you. And at least that way it tells you, hey, yep, we took the right option, or yes, that's the option that's best for us. So by all means, give our office a call. It doesn't cost anything for that report. So Tony, I'm glad you mentioned that. It is extremely valuable and extremely powerful tool when we talk about maximizing our retirement income.
Yeah, no problem. I think that's great, and it's easy to do if you're working with a financial services professional. I encourage our listeners to give you a call and do that. So let's look at risk, the risk assessment.
Yes.
Everybody's risk is different, as you've mentioned before. We've talked about it on the show a couple of times before, but really when it comes to making your money last, you have to figure out where you're at as far as risk. And a lot of people don't realize it until they come in and see you and you look at their situation and run those reports, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very important. And again, this is something that you have to review this on an annual basis. What is my risk tolerance today? Now, we have a funny little term. We call it the COMRA, COMRA. And what that stands for is color of money risk analysis. So it's simply like a 12 or 15 questionnaire that talks about and asks really deep questions on how do you think and feel in your mind, in your heart, and in your gut about your money. When the market's up 20%, when the market's down 20%, all these scenarios. And then those answers are all scored. They get a numerical score. We add up the score at the end, and that'll tell us whether you look and think about your money in a conservative aspect, a moderate aspect, or an aggressive aspect. And a lot of times we see that those aspects are how we think and feel about our money today, for one reason or another, changes over time. Maybe we get more aggressive. Maybe we get more conservative. And I've seen it go both ways as I've been working with literally thousands of families over the last 20 some years. But it's very important, like I mentioned, that color of money risk analysis, that tells us how much your money should be in green money, which is safe, yellow money, which is a little bit more risk, but managed, and then red money, which is, let's call that very aggressive, not managed, individual stocks. So we have green, yellow, red money, from safer to moderate to more aggressive. And when you truly analyze your risk on how I think and feel about money, you can build a better investment plan. That way, when things go good, you're going to maximize your upside opportunity. Remember, plan for the best. But we have to prepare for the worst. So when things don't go so good, because we know the market goes up and down every day, interest rates are going up and all things happen. When things don't go in our favor, we want to be prepared for that. And having your risk assessed and have your money managed appropriate for your risk level is very valuable and very powerful in maximizing your returns and minimizing your risk exposure when things don't quite go the way we want or expect them to go. So, and again, review that, Tony, right? I mean, review that every single year. I meet with my families for their quarterly reviews, their semi-annual reviews or the annual reviews, we are reassessing their risk exposure, their risk levels, their risk acceptabilities, retaking the camera, because as we age, most people become more conservative. However, things in life change and happen. Some people actually have an opportunity to become more opportunistic or aggressive. So please always review your investments, review your risk tolerance, and make sure you're invested today most appropriate for how you think and feel your money should be invested.
Yeah, and well, you still need growth. A lot of folks, maybe they're within 5 years of retirement, they come into you and everything they have is at risk and in the market. Might be time to start getting some of those eggs out of that basket and have some principal protected options
Absolutely, yeah.
as well, and keep a balance there as we get older or into retirement. So it's really important to structure it correctly. And I know that everybody's situation is different, like you say. We just have to we reiterate that because it's so important. And that's why you like to meet with people one-on-one, get to know them, and offer these complimentary, no charge, no obligation consultations. So before we go on, we are going to take another quick break. And I think I'm going to give away some books again.
Yeah, let's do
10
that.
books. We've had a lot of success with this. You wrote the book, Empower Your Retirement. Plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. And it's a great book. Listeners, you want a copy of this book. It's an actual book, a paperback. It's sold on Amazon, but you can get it at no charge, no postage, no obligation by just being one of the next 10 people to contact Great Lakes Investment Advisors at 989-835-7203. Again, that's 989-835-7203. Well, Jason, we're talking about how to make your money last longer than you do. I know we joked at the beginning of the show, I want my last check to bounce. Your dad said it. I've heard my grandpa used to say that. And it's not too realistic because no one knows the date or time, as I like to say. I mean, I love the phrase, man plans, God laughs, right? So we don't
100%.
know. We don't know when we're going to pass or how much money we'll have when we pass. It's hard to calculate, but you do a pretty good job. I mean, you use actuarial tables, and easy for me to say, right?
That's a tough word. I've been struggling for 22, 23 years to figure out how to say that word you just did. Actuarial tables. It's a funny word. It's tough to say, but it's a mathematical science behind longevity and
sure.
Yep.
Sure. And with people living longer and longer, this has become a concern because outliving your money has become a concern. It's called longevity risk, and that's what we're talking about today. How to combat it starts with working with a financial advisor who's a fiduciary, who's going to look out for your best interest, then sitting down with them and coming up with a plan, making changes to the plan on a regular basis, and re-evaluating, looking at your Social Security maximizing that, file at the right time for your situation, and then look at your risk tolerance. I know you have a 11 question survey for people to help determine their risk tolerance, and then you take their actual portfolios, whether it's 401ks, IRAs, their situation, and you run a compass report, you run some reports on it, and you say, hey, here's how much you have at risk, here's where you're at, here's what you're doubled up on, here's how we can help you. And then if they want to move forward from there, great. There's no obligation, but that's what needs to happen. Now, there are other factors when it comes to running out of money in retirement, and those are the two biggest expenses in retirement, right? Taxes and healthcare. So tax planning, you're not a CPA, but you work alongside CPAs, and you look at future taxes and incorporate that into their plans, though. Because a lot of these retirement accounts are taxable in retirement. All that money you've saved in a traditional 401k or TSP or a traditional IRA, that's all fully taxable when you pull it out in retirement, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all fully taxable at an ordinary income tax brackets, which could very well be going up in the future. Right now, we're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with the plans under the current president, but those could always change, right? So income, when we think about pulling income in retirement, that's probably one of the biggest I think, oh wows, or like the light bulb goes on, right? Is people don't realize
Right.
how well you've saved inside those 401ks, those IRAs, those 457s, whatever it might be. You got a great tax opportunity, tax advantage to save into those accounts. You didn't have to pay any income tax on that money. While it grew over the years, you didn't have to pay any income tax on that growth. Awesome, awesome, wonderful opportunities. However, the reality is when you are in retirement and either you want to pull money out or you hit the magic age of the required minimum distribution where the government forces you to take money out, at that point in time, when you pull money out of those accounts, that's when the taxes are due. And a lot of retirees, Tony, have found themselves in the same or even higher tax bracket when they're retired than when they were working. And so we really try to help from a tax strategic standpoint is, as you mentioned, I'm not a CPA. I don't do tax returns. How I look at financial planning is from a fiduciary aspect and looking at from very tax effective planning. We're going to look at taxation on your money each and every year. How much can you invest in different accounts, and how is it taxed when you invest it or when you put the money in? Is it taxed throughout that year? Can you convert any money like from a tax deferred account like a 401k or an IRA over to maybe a Roth, a tax free or another tax more efficient investment? If so, what's going to happen that year on the money you convert? But not only 1 year at a plan or 1 year at a time, having a plan is for the rest of your life and then some. So we want to look at tax planning as well with your investments, not only as a 1 year time frame, but as what we call the long game. We're going to try to set up a long game tax plan so that when you age through retirement, you're getting maximum income at the maximum tax benefits to you, as well as we've already talked about, reduced risk exposure. And you hit the nail on the head again, Tony. I mean, you're 3 for 3 on this show, but the two biggest expenses in retirement are taxes and insurances or healthcare, right? And so again, being prepared for what is my health insurance going to cost me? And if I have insurances, no matter what kind of coverage I have, if my health goes south, what's that going to cost me above and beyond what the insurances might cover? And so again, being prepared, have a plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. And really have those real tough talks about, okay, what if I get sick? What if I need to go live in assisted living or nursing home for 5 years? What's going to happen to my money? What's going to happen to my family? Okay. What if I unfortunately I'm diagnosed with some form of dementia or memory concerns, and I live 10, 15 years or more with these concerns, and that's drawn out on my family and my finances? What's that going to look like? And are there variables or elements I can build into this plan to reduce or eliminate that nasty negative, uh, unfortunate expense of should something bad happen and I need to go into some form of care or need care in my home? So you're absolutely right, Tony. Taxes on retirement income, taxes on investments in retirement, and healthcare costs or insurance costs. Those are really, really biggies that you got to plan for properly. And again, the sooner we can plan, the better we can prepare. It's
Yeah.
if we don't plan.
Right, exactly. It's just it's common sense, and there are a lot of moving parts, though. You don't want to try to go it alone, especially when it comes to the two major expenses in retirement, which are taxes and healthcare. And we've done whole shows on healthcare. We'll save that, but that has to be incorporated into the plan. You look at healthcare costs, what they're going to be. I do think that. Another big part of it, and making sure if you are already in retirement, have separate funds for things like travel in the summer. We're headed into summertime right now,
Absolutely. Yep.
and a lot of people spend a lot of money on travel
Oh,
and
yeah.
things. We just kind of tend to buy things in this. I want a new grill, or I'm going to get a new boat, or I'm going to travel. I mean, summer spending can get out of control. So, where is that coming from?
Yeah. So I don't even think it's just summer spending, right? I mean, think about that. So we have a lot of retirees over here in Michigan, and I'm sure you do, that they head south for the winter. And
Mhm.
maybe they head out in December, January, February, and they might go from 1 month or 3 or 4 months. They head south. Well, there's a lot of additional winter spending for that. You might have to lease a place. You got extra travel expenses. You got extra food, extra entertainment expenses. So, yeah, you need to really think throughout the year. Where are we going to spend money on a monthly or a quarterly basis and budget for that. Actually hold yourself to make a budget and put money aside. Say, well, this is our first quarter of the year budget. Here's our second quarter. Here's our third quarter. Or like you said, Tony, if you're big summer spenders, here's our summer budget, and hold yourself to that budget. Maybe it's the old accounts I know my parents used to have was a Christmas account. You should go to the bank or the credit union. You could open up a Christmas account. You'd put money in there out of every paycheck. It earned a little bit more interest, and it built up for right around December 1st. You cash that account out, and that paid for Christmas. Well, you also, a lot of people need to have travel accounts, travel expenses. So be prepared for that, because if we don't, you're absolutely right, Tony. If we don't plan and prepare, we just spend. We just spend.
Yep.
We just buy it, we spend it. And then after the fact, we get the credit card bills, or we look at our bank account like, I wasn't ready for that. Well, that's because you didn't plan. You weren't prepared for those expenses. Yeah, nobody likes to sit down and do a budget and do your expenses and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it's a little bit of work. You put in the right time, and you're building and preparing and planning for the best financial future you could have. And so I truly believe plan and prepare ahead of time. Be as proactive as you can. And you're right, Tony, break it right down to your monthly or seasonal expenses.
Yeah. Boom. There you go. I think that's fantastic. And it's been a great topic. There's so much to talk about. Obviously, the benefit of having money left over and not bouncing that last check, a lot of people say that half jokingly, but you don't want to leave your loved ones in a bad situation, whether it's a spouse or kids or your favorite charity. So if you have money left over, that's a separate show that we will be talking more about. And that is obviously estate planning, enhanced planning, legacy planning, whatever you want to call it. You need to do that as well. And I know that's something you and your staff can help folks with as well. But a great talk today on making your money last longer than you do. We don't want our bank account to hit zero before our blood pressure does, as I always like to say.
That's a good way to put it, Tony. Let's just be real. Let's be blunt about it. Yeah. I mean, I always tell people, if you wake up with more life to live and no money to live it with, we have a problem.
Yeah, there you go. And that's what you avoid by working with someone like yourself, a trusted financial services professional. So we're going to give that number one more time. And what we're going to do is remind people they can call and get a no charge, no obligation consultation, get some of these reports run, and set up a time to talk to you. The phone number to call to set that up. And again, no charge, no obligation, 989-835-7203. 989-835-7203. Great show today, Jason.
Great show today.
All right, that does it for today's episode of Your Financial Empower Hour with our host, Jason Cryderman.